The natural fallacy is the belief that natural things are automatically better for us. In this video, I want to show you why this kind of thinking is leading the debate in the wrong direction. Let's take some example so you understand what I want to say. Example 1. Same-sex relationship. When we talk about homosexuality, a common debate is whether or not it's natural. From what I could read, it seems to be the case, but this really is irrelevant to the moral or the legal question. It could have been the case that, in a certain sense, homosexuality wasn't natural. Yet, we could decide as a society that as long as people don't hurt each other and there is consent, we can allow for any sexual behavior, no matter how unnatural it is. But some people who want to defend the rights of homosexuals try to defend this idea that it's natural, while the debate, for me, really isn't there. In this case, it's fine, because it seems that homosexuality is indeed natural. But let's take another case, where I think that activists are shooting themselves in the foot. Feminism. Or more precisely, the cognitive differences between men and women. Example 2. Sex differences. In this case, it happens that men and women, on average of course, have different psychologies. And this in a natural way, not just because of society. It actually makes a lot of sense from the viewpoint of evolutionary psychology. This field of science tries to understand psychology based on the evolutionary pressures that happens to our ancestors. And it happens that men and women have had different challenges in their evolutionary paths. For example, women are more easily discussed than men. I know, it's a cliché, but it seems to be true on average. Why? Because women carry babies. And during pregnancy, both the woman and the baby are more at risk of developing sickness. So it makes sense for women to be more easily discussed, because this disgust will trigger some sanitizing of the environment more often and more deeply than for men. And this will prevent the woman and the babies to be in contact with the pathogens. Another example, more controversial, is the one of violence. It won't surprise anyone, but on average men are more violent than women. The thing is that this is in part genetic. In ancestral settings, male reproductive success depended on the status, competition, and mate access. Traits that nudged risk-taking and physical aggression were selected. Don't get me wrong, culture has for sure reinforced the cliché of the strong, violent man and the reserved, shy woman. But this was just an emphasis on a natural divide between men and women. Sometimes I say that this is like Coke. Did Coca-Cola invent the taste of sugar? Of course it didn't. This is a biological adaptation that enabled us to look for sweet food in our environments. But Coca-Cola did have a heavy marketing that made it cool to drink it. So, as all things, traits evolve from an interaction between genes and environment. Quite often, marketing teams play on these already existing differences and they just push it further. So I'm quite sad to see that so many people are trying to defend the right of women by denying the sex differences. It makes no sense. You don't need that. You could perfectly say that yes, men are more violent, and this in a natural way, yet this doesn't excuse anything. They should still go to prison if they commit a crime, obviously. You can also say that men are more risk-taking, but it's perfectly okay for women to do a risky sport. It's like if people were trying to fight racism by saying that there are no differences of color between individuals. That would be dumb and pretty obviously false. The right thing to say is yes, there are differences of colors between individuals, but no, this doesn't mean that some get to sit in the front of the bus and others in the back. I could go on for hours, like when sometimes I say that our current wealth distribution is unjust. See my video on inheritance, someone would retort that economic inequalities are natural. That the world is just unfair, that's the way it is. Don't get fooled by these arguments. The world is the way it is, but society is the way we make it. Yet, there might still be something to take from this fallacy. That's what I tackle in the full deep dive. Links in the description.